Okay, Megan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Give us just 1 second. We're going to let everyone get in on. All right, sir, you are good to go whenever you are ready. Mo, you are still muted. 1 second.
Am I good now?
Yes, you are good.
Okay, are we starting?
Yes, you are good to start. And everyone, if you could please bear with us. The internet is out because of a cut line, so we are doing everything as best as we can. Just bear with us today.
Megan, I'm looking on my phone. Can you tell me how many people we have on today?
We have about 58 participants.
Well, guys, thank you for coming in today. Let me see if I can try to give you an update. The update that I'm going to give you today is pretty much what we will be giving to council tonight. The purpose of our council meeting, the main purpose of our tonight's council meeting at 5:30 at the Civic Center is to extend our emergency declaration. When we issue an emergency declaration, usually it's for 7 days, and then city council has to transition into the days necessary or the time necessary for when it's a longer disaster declaration. So usually at the very beginning, there are 7 days, and then council meets to extend the declaration. That's really the main purpose for tonight, is doing that. And then we'll try to give an update. So whatever update I give tonight is pretty much going to follow the script that I'm giving today. At the moment, as I mentioned yesterday, we are focused on 2 major tasks: rescinding the boil water notice and holding the necessary chlorine residual level of 1.0 for 60 days. And they are 2 separate issues and 2 separate tasks, but they are linked together. Rescinding the boil water notice, we have to reach a benchmark of 0.2 parts per million of free chlorine residual throughout the system. It could take us 7 to 14 days for that. We were working hard to hit that number quicker. Right now, we are measuring a 4.0 parts per million at wells. And of course, that starts at the wells. That's where we chlorinate, and then it moves through the system. I live in an area where we're kind of outside the system, and I could already smell the chlorine going through the shower head. That's a good sign that it's working. We believe sooner, again, on the boil waters would be rescinded if we hit that 0.2, but TCQ makes the decision, not us. TCQ is establishing also the testing protocol and the sites we will need to test for this, and they will monitor our sampling procedures. The next task, I'm reading off a script that I try to prepare so I don't make any mistakes. Free chlorine benchmark of 1.0. And this isn't really advised by the CDC, and the TCQ is taking their advisement. And this is pretty much to kill any bacteria in the system. That must be held for 60 days. So again, the boil water is separate than the 60-day requirement of the 1.0. The clock for 60 days starts when we hit the 1.0. Time clock starts once we reach that again, of 1.0. We are 100% well water now, and until we complete the chlorine conversion. This will put a significant strain on our system, thus the importance of the drought contingency plan. The drought contingency plan needs to remain in place for the duration of this project. We need to minimize the strain on the system once the 60 days clock begins. We've worked with our major car washers to give them 4-hour blocks The mayor will sign an emergency order sending out their schedule this morning. Again, we need everybody's participation in the drought contingency plan, because what we're trying to do is lower our water usage. The first part of that was while we're flushing. We wanted to have all of our capability to use that water to help flush our system, and that's working. But the second stage is the duration is 60 days. So we need the 60 days um, for to be able to use our system to keep on pushing chlorine of 1.0 throughout the system. And so we need to really lower the strain on the wells. We're using the wells at 100%, and we've not done this, so we need to increase the demand. Um, let's see. We have made STAR requests to the state for additional utilities help. This is a 24-hour procedure for our crews, so we're still asking for them to help see if we can get any outside assistance. The city of Pearland and a couple other cities have been of great assistance of helping our crews work this operation for 24 hours. But again, this is a 60-day period once we hit the point one, so it's a long procedure. Let's see. The customer service inspection program. Out of all of the projects that we're working on, this is an important component as well, because we're starting the investigation of where could we have breaches into the system where a stagnant water could get into the system. That's looking at any type of breach. It could be as simple as a hose that is sitting in a pool by being filled up where it could backflow into the device, into our water system. Or it could be an irrigation system that didn't have a backflow device, or it could be a pump that's going to a creek that didn't have a backflow device, or it could be any type of facility. So we'll be checking those. We've started that process working with the city of Houston quickly, but I imagine that this will be a year-long, or if not a lifetime commitment, as we roll this into our program. But right now we want to try to get as much information as we can as quickly as possible. So that's part of our customer service inspection program. Again, one of the important points that I want to make on this is that everybody's is identified with badges that we have issued them. Please watch out for scammers. There's always someone who wants to scam the system. Do not give them personal information. Do not let them in your home. We are not asking to do that. We are just looking for observations in the yard. We do not need to go inside the home. So please do not do that. Public communication, we really have, I think, started to improve on our public communication outreach. I would say in the first 2 days, we were caught a little off guard since we had just really notified on Friday that we had a possible problem, and we've been trying to communicate that probably in our normal ways, but now this is not a normal circumstance. We'll continue to have this 11 o'clock Zoom daily update with the press and the public. This is more geared towards the public than it is the press. We want to get that information out to you. We'll do video updates about a minute long with the mayor and Megan. I think you've seen her. These are approximately a minute long, and we're trying to answer these on video. We'll do a live video and then they'll record onto Facebook of trying to answer some of the questions that you may have and get that message out specifically for a couple of questions that we really have information back for. A lot of times we get a question posed, we might not necessarily have the correct information. And I've asked our staff to get with the resources that we do so we can get the correct information out. I've also told staff if we do get their information out, and we need to correct it as soon as possible. Still, mistakes can be made, clarifications. So please continue to look at the updates and stuff and see their recommendations have changed a little bit. This is still a work in process where we are getting information from TCQ and the CDC guidelines. We're also trying to work on our graphics so we can maybe visually tell the story of what's happening better for those who can absorb that information in that form or fashion. And we're also working with our emergency notification system. What we found out was a lot of people are not signed up for the emergency notification system. This is not something we can quickly download just data into the system. If anybody can call or enter their data through the website, please do that, because that's how we're going to quickly get out that information on the boil water notice. We'll do emergency check, but not everybody is signed up for that. So we encourage everybody to sign up that. You'll know first when the boil notice is rescinded, because that will be the first way. We'll also post on Facebook and the website, but the first way is getting it out in the emergency notification system. Bottled water, we're still continuing that. The pod is moved to the recreation center. I don't necessarily have the hours in front of me, but I think those are posted, and our team today can probably comment on that if that's of interest. And the last item is our emergency operation command center is still open. We meet every day with our staff at 4:00 to do a debriefing for the day of what we have accomplished, and also the forecast for the next 24-hour periods, plus of what is on the task on hand on those items. So we bring in, everybody's working the day on the problems, and then we bring our entire team together and discuss those levels of what we need to do, because we're working on the boil water notice, the chlorine conversion, the investigations in the field, and the pod. Those are really, and then communication to the public. And so we tried to address what we've done, where do we need to improve, and how we can improve in the next 24-hour periods. That's really our goal when we meet our EOC. Tonight at council, this will be an update as well. I will go over these items. There really won't be any new items, but we will try to address any Q&A throughout the day. And then we may have some Q&A. I'm sure we will have Q&A at night. At tonight's council meeting. Our hope, it won't be anything that we won't have any new information that we've not really addressed on the Q&A here in this process, or by the end of the day. Sometimes some particular questions, we have to bring in a team of individuals outside, according to the CDC and TCQ, to get if it's a specific question. So now I'm going to turn it over, I guess, to Megan, if there's any questions that I can answer, or if our team who are online, maybe specifically in their nature, that they can answer. Megan?
Yes, sir. So the one that we will start with is, so sorry, give me just one second. It says, what are you doing for those seniors that are homebound and unable to leave their home to get water? If you want, I do have Brian Sidebottom in my office that could go into more details on that based on pod distribution.
I think Brian would be the best person to answer that. Introduce Brian. Brian is our lieutenant in our police department, Lieutenant Brian Bottom. He is also our emergency management coordinator, and one of his key projects he's working on is doing the distribution of water. So he's in charge of that. He can give you a good update and answer that question. Brian?
Yeah, this is Brian. Thank you for the question. Anyone who calls in and letting us know that they need water, if they're like disabled or homebound, I have a person assigned who takes water to them. Our process right now is you sign up, we're trying to give you 7 days worth of water. And if you have another need before the 7 days, you can give us a call back and we'll return it. But we're going to have you on a rotation. So every 7 days, we're going to bring you 7 days worth of water until this process ends.
Brian, if there was a church that had a couple of seniors that they know of that they wanted to distribute, can they go to the pod and assist and take that water to a couple of their church members that they know that can't go out there?
Yes, they can. And if they would like to add their name to our list, and we can take over at any point. But yes, if they let us know that they're taking it for a senior that's homebound, we'll take care of them and get the water to them, whatever they need.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, the other point that I want to get across, that I keep on trying to get across, this is a community effort. We need everybody's help. So sometimes it's on distribution of water. It's definitely on the drought contingency plan of trying not to use, watering our yards or anything as much as possible. We had a lot of questions on pool maintenance, and we really don't want you to drain the pool, fill the pool, but you can maintain the pool of just levels and stuff. We just don't want that major water usage, but we want you to maintain your pools and keep them safe. So we're not shutting off the water in those necessary areas, but we're really just trying to lower our water usage so we don't strain our well system. Megan, what's the next question?
All right, sir. So the next question is, chlorine residual analysis is nearly instantaneous. Can the city post near real-time chlorine analysis results? I also have Eddie and David in my office, sir.
Okay, that's probably going to be something that Deb can answer. I think right now, probably the broad brush of it is the testing of the chlorine residual has not been established of the sites and the duration and when that is going to be set. That's established by TCEQ. We have not seen that plan yet. So I could go and pick a test site and test that and give that as TCEQ. That may not be where they want to measure. So if we can get that information, we will. But that may not be the information that TCEQ wants. To get off the boil water notice, I've got to satisfy TCEQ, and they're going to put the program in place that we need to do. Debbie, do I need to add anything to that?
Sir, I don't believe Debbie's on the line at this time, so we will give everyone an update on that after the chat has ended. We will post that on our Facebook page, or it'll be part of my update later today on my video.
I apologize, I don't have a definitive answer, but I think that's where this may be going, but let's see if we can get a more definitive answer. Next question. All
right, sir. So the next question is about the discoloration and odor that is going to come during the chlorine conversion when people are using the water. We're specifically getting asked how people can address and complete laundry and dishwashing daily without ruining personal items. I do have Eddie in here who's pretty familiar with that, if you'd like him to answer.
Yeah, I'd love, yes, Eddie, if you could talk about that. Eddie is he's our engineering technician in our engineering department, but he's with a long time out in the field managing crews and stuff. So he has a complete familiarity of the water system. So I think he could probably be the best person to answer this question. Eddie?
Yes, sir. This is Eddie Herrera with the engineering department. This is something that we deal with every time we flush. It's not something new. We usually do this at night, but in this instance, we are flushing during the day. So you do notice that this biofilm is releasing into the water. We're drawing it through the system and taking it out at every hydrant that we can. Unfortunately, you cannot make it just disappear yourself on your own. What you have to do is check the water before you use the water. To do that, you get a glass and fill it up about 4 inches of water and look in the water. If you see visibly that the water has a tint to it, I would not recommend washing white or light clothes. If any other clothes should be fine, darker clothes, that is normal. It should be okay.
Eddie, are you telling me that there could be a day that's good and there could be a day that's bad, but then the next day after you fill up the glass, it could be perfectly fine?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. It could be bad this morning and fine by this afternoon. So we just need to schedule around it. That's the big thing. Just check it before you use it, schedule around it.
Okay. So if you're a homeowner, just if you want to wash your clothes, just kind of do a visible check of the water before. Is there any type of preventative measures that you can take? I've always heard of ironite or something that you could put in the wash. Is that something that we would recommend?
I personally would not recommend it. It is usable. You can use it, but if you dose it improperly, you can wear your clothes out early because it is strong chemicals. What that does is it binds itself to the iron bacteria in the water and it drops everything out of the water, clears it up instantly. But if you do it wrong, you can ruin your clothes. So I wouldn't suggest that any more than washing whites with dirty water.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Megan, what's the next question?
Sir, the next one we're going to do, and everyone will probably answer 2 more questions, and then the rest, like I said, will be posted afterwards. This person has asked, is there continued testing for the amoeba? What are the results?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
They asked, is there continued testing for the amoeba? I believe it's specifically in our water system, and what are the results?
No, there is not continuing testing for the amoeba. There is no established guideline for this. When we had heard of that there was a possibility of the amoeba at the play center based on our information from the CDC that there was a little boy that played there, we then started the process of testing that and the little boy's home at the request of the family. We also tested a portion of the distribution system. This is not a testing procedure set up by TCEQ, nor there are really, my understanding, any labs that can test for this. I think there may be only the CDC and another lab in Florida that can test for this. In addition to the state of Louisiana, who may have had this problem occur in 2013. We're working with the state of Louisiana to see if there is a procedure that can test for this. really, in the end, what we test for is what all states and cities test for is the chlorine residual in the system, the residual chlorine. If the residual chlorine is met, this amoeba cannot live in this environment. And so that's really what we test for. So there are always bacteria in the water, any freshwater supply, and then it's chlorinated by the municipal system, and so then that bacteria can't live. So cities and states test for the residual level of chlorine, knowing that then the bacteria can't live in this. Could there be established protocol later on? Yes, we're going to look at that with the state of Louisiana and the cities, and also the CDC if there's something we can implement. That will not be immediate. Again, the biggest purpose is maintain the chlorine residual that is set out by the state and keep that number. That's also the other reason the CDC is advising this guideline of the 1.0. That is not a guideline that has been established by the TCEQ. It is the guidance given to TCEQ. It says it's their recommendation to the city that we maintain this 1.0 to completely purge anything out of the city to make sure that it's not there, and then go back to the normal residual guideline that we use. That's the purpose of this chlorine conversion.
All right, Sarah, and our final question, I believe, is a good one for David to answer. We have had a few questions about what will happen if a hazard is found when they're doing these customer service inspections, and are residents allowed to, or are they required to allow the city access into their yard? If you want, David can answer that.
David, could you and then answer that question?
Yes, I can, sir. It's very important that residents allow the inspectors to. Sorry, I'm David Walton. I'm the city building official. To answer the question, it is important that residents allow and businesses allow the city to come in and do that safety inspection. We are just looking for obvious hazards that may allow an external contaminant into the water system. And like you said, a lot of times it's something as innocuous as a hose bib that might just be unprotected, or a hose laying on the ground, excuse me, or into a contaminant source. Once we have identified a hazard, we're going to work with those homeowners to correct that. If they are available at the time, we can just point it out and identify it to them. This is the type of thing we need you to do. If they're not, we'll obviously make notification back to the homeowner and make arrangements to go back and re-inspect to make sure that those items are taken care of. At this time, there's no penalties for being out of compliance, and there's no penalties for not allowing us in, but we will eventually have to get in there and do that inspection with our customer service inspection team.
David, you've had pretty much your first day started yesterday in that. Have there been any kind of common things that you've seen? It's like, oh, this is a good thing to start that we're looking at and that we're spotting, or have we been pretty good?
Actually, it's been really good. We started out in one area of town and kind of up by Oyster Creek and Best Brannon, and have kind of divided the 10 individuals we have from the city of Houston, which has been fantastic to work with. I'd like to make that known. And we're having very good reception, not just with the residents, but also with the results. They're able to do an inspection about every 6 to 7 minutes per house. And again, they're knocking on the door, they're identifying themselves, they're stating what they're there to do, they're showing their badges. And at no time if you come in contact with anybody asking for personal information, wanting to get into your house, or wanting money, that is not a City of Lake Jackson employee or contractor. Please report them to the police department. But in the process of these inspections, they're having very good results. Most likely what they're seeing most of the time are hose bibs. Now, everybody has a hose bib on the outside of their house, and most people probably don't know about the vacuum breaker that is easily attachable to the hose. That is something that is required. It's not something grandfathered because the 2012 plumbing code specifically stated that it had to be there. And the grandfathering was taken out because it is a life safety issue.
Okay. Okay, David, thank you. Megan, are there any questions that we need to answer right now? Immediately,
Sir, I think we're good on this end. The same as yesterday, everyone. If there's a question that wasn't answered, we will try and get that on our Facebook page today answered. If you submitted just a comment, please know that you have to phrase it in a way where we can answer it. So if you forward me, my email is M as in Megan, BORTH@lakejacksontx.gov. Any questions, we will get those answered as well. So I think that's all for today, everyone. Please click on the link again tomorrow, the same link you used today. We will be back on at 11 a.m.
Okay. I just wanted to close with thank you guys for participating. We're going to try to get out as much information as possible. Keep the questions coming. That helps us in our communication program of, what's on your mind that we need to get out. I apologize. Sometimes we just don't have an answer right away. We've got to work on that, but we want to know what your questions are and get that information out as quickly as possible and get the correct information out and keep this dialogue open. And again, this is going to be a community-wide effort, and it's going to be for a while, but we're going to need everybody's help. And we appreciate everything, all of us coming together. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.